discuss the less familiar parts of the CS organization. I'm gonna talk about my experience with Monday, but also former experience from former jobs and from my experience as a consultant. And maybe let's start with Monday, right? So, are you familiar with Monday? Yeah, I see the nods. So nice thing about this webinar is that we have the cameras open and we can interact. So if you nod, I can see you. If you raise your hand and you have a question, I can see that. And let's have like a fun hour together. So Monday, as you know, is an Israeli company. We're building the no-code, low-code system that allows organizations to basically create their own software to manage whatever they feel like. If that's a travel agency that needs to run the entire pipeline of invitations, if that's software development, maybe that's like marketing campaigns, that can be various things. We, for example, in my team, use this for enablement. Wait. So I missed a very important thing, which is sharing my screen. So this is Monday, as you know, or probably heard. Monday was founded like 10 years ago, but actually the last 4 years have been like the big increase in basically any dimension that you can think of. We're doubling our customers, our ARR, the number of employees, the sites, any dimension that you can think about as a way to assess the company's size has grown dramatically. And moreover, specifically in the last 2 years, so COVID created an opportunity for us to basically work and you know that digital.
You're you muted yourself. Yeah, we missed that.
Yeah. So the digital transformation is one of the most like hottest buzzwords, right? And with that opportunity, Monday.com got like a perfect market fit, which helped a lot of organization and obviously also helped to the success, to Monday's success. And almost 6 months ago, we went public, and today Monday is one of the biggest Israeli companies in Israel and in the global market. Very, very successful company. I am actually pretty new to Monday. I'm not even a year in Monday, but let me walk you a little bit through my experience and why am I even talking to you today. So I started my journey in enablement, training, knowledge, and all of this, like this neighborhood. A lot of time ago, if to be precise, 20 years ago. I started, my first job was in a consultancy firm. It's not even on that timeline that you can see. But basically I got, when I finished my military service, it was even before internet really, started. So I got this really small post in the newspaper saying that they're looking for people with background in training from the army. And I started working in a small consultative firm, working in a military project. I was paid once every 2 months, like every other month. Yeah, I can see the faces. That was the thing, right? My friends were waitresses, and I wanted, a grown-up job, but I had to start somewhere. So I worked at that project, and then a few years later, the company was acquired by Lotem Strategies. Maybe some of you are familiar with this company. It's a pretty big consultancy firm in Israel, where I had my first professional job as instructional designer. Do you know this profession? Nope. All right. Yeah, I see that. Few yeses.
What profession are we talking about?
Instructional designer. So in Hebrew, it's called מפתח הדרכה. Does that ring a bell? Basically, what this profession means is that we are the writers, the script writers of this really cool play that is workforce training, okay? So the same way that in theater or in movies, you have the writers and then you have the actors, this is the way that in workforce training, you have the trainers that really stand in front of the class and teaches, but there's people behind the scenes that put together all the training materials, that doing the need analysis to understand what exactly we need to teach, what would be like, what material do we need to cover, at what flow, what method. And it's a super, super, super interesting profession.
I've been in this area.
Sorry?
I've been in this area something like around 20 years ago, 15 years ago. Probably we're in the same age.
Yeah. And the nice thing about that is that we have many, first of all, COVID made everyone take digital courses, right? So this profession is really in increase. It's, it's very hot position, and we see the market boiling with demand for instructional designer or different learning position. And I'll touch on that towards the end of the webinar, because I do think that there's like a lot of opportunities in anything related to learning, specifically digital learning, in organizations, like general organizations today. All right, so I started that. I was instructional designer, then I started to manage learning projects, which basically taught me the skills of project management. Then I had the privilege to start up a new initiative. Internet became a thing. Blogs, digital learning became a thing. We started seeing more and more coursewares. Those things that you always keep clicking next. That was the thing. And I had a privilege to build this department in Lotem. After a few years, I decided that it's time for me to move into a in-house internal organization role. As a consultant working for a consultancy firm, basically most of the job that I did was like outsourced projects for different companies. And I felt that was kind of the limit for me. I wanted to change the atmosphere, and I decided that I'm going to do probably something that is very similar to what you're doing now. I want to get into the high-tech world. I wanted to say, okay, most of my customers in LATAM were banks, insurance companies, healthcare companies, local companies, all local companies, Ibru solely. When I started working at Sisense, which is my next station at the journey, I barely spoke English. It was like a great way to learn. I came with, bagut, right? It wasn't like that I had English as a mother tongue. And now you can hear it improved. Anyway, so I was in charge on customer marketing, on customer education for almost 5 years. And a year ago, I made my final transition to Monday.com, where now I serve as the CS Enablement Group Lead. So what is CS Enablement, right? It's just such a funny and very unclear name. Have you ever heard about sales enablement? All right. So basically, enablement is everything that we can do to help the employees or the customers to do their job better in terms of knowledge, skills, and even mindset. All right. So if we want to take someone that doesn't know, like a newbie, a new hire that doesn't know the job, and we want to onboard him to the company, and we want to teach them how to perform in the job, this is what the enablement team does. If we want to take many different pieces of information and kind of assemble them together to create a meaningful read, something that will help the employees to perform better, this is what the enablement team does. So if maybe you know this position in other names. So if you had experience in, let's say, one of the communication companies, like the cellular phone or TV companies, you might know the term מנהלת הדרכה. Have you heard about that? So this is basically the same, right? Because customer success is the equivalent of מחלקת שירות לקוחות, and enablement manager is basically מנהלת הדרכה. So if I was working for, other companies outside of the tech vertical, the tech industry, I would probably go by מנהלת הדרכה של השירות. Does it make sense now? Fine. So now that we know what we're talking about, let's see how that concerned to you. So why am I here? Why do we even speak about various roles? What roles can I possibly introduce to you that you don't already know? That's a good question. So let me just do that. So let's jump right in. When we're talking about enablement, when we're talking about enablement, the first thing that we want to ask is, who are we teaching? And to understand who are we teaching, we need to ask, okay, so what is department? If I'm saying that I'm the customer success enablement, what does customer success even do? Do you know, have you heard about customer success? What does customer success managers or customer experience agents do on their day-to-day?
They are talking to the clients that are already exist, taking care of them.
Correct, exactly.
It's supposed to be the front line between all the departments in the company and the customer, so they can manage all the departments and everything has to do with that, and make it easy, more easy for the customers to enjoy the product.
Exactly. Front line is the exact word that I would use. And why is that important? Because we look at our entire customer body and we segment those customers. So I think that one of the most basic differentiation when it comes to customer segments is B2B versus B2C. Do you know this differentiation? Okay. Right? Come on. All right. So we have B2B versus B2C. So just to align everyone on the terminology, and I'm going to use Monday specific terminology. So in Monday, we differentiate B2C and B2B in a way that concerns to the sales cycle. If a customer went through a sales cycle, that means that they've been touched by a sales rep, they're being high touch. And if they did it independently, they went to the website, purchased a package, paid with a credit card, and wasn't in direct communication with anyone specific, that means they're no touch. So if we think about different companies, any streaming service that you're using, Netflix, Spotify, they are B2C, right? Business to customer. If we're thinking about e-commerce like ASOS, like Alibaba, like whatever, that's also B2C. If we're thinking about enterprise solutions as SAP or Salesforce, which is a very common tool that like every company, big company basically uses, these are B2B, right? Because our customers are businesses, they're not individual customers. And why is that important? Why I need to differentiate the type of wait, I have too many messages here, so it's a bit distracting. But let's start maybe with Jonathan. So why is it important to differentiate B2B and B2C?
Oh, no, sorry, I was in the middle of a question before you asked that.
Ah, okay, so go ahead and ask.
I think that question too, I think, is it's important to differentiate because your marketing styles will be very different, first of all, and the support you give will be very different too. Also, no touch versus touch marketing, in terms of outreaching to the clients and getting new clients. My question was, do you have B2B that is that's no touch?
No. And it's a direct no, and I'll explain why. So in Monday, we have a very, very interesting model. And this model, we call it flywheel. And basically, Monday is a classic B2B company. We don't have customers that are, we have users, but the vast majority of our customers are organizations, they're businesses, all right? But the way that we expand and the way that we market is by a direct reach to the end user, all right? So in most cases, in other companies, when a company wants to sell to another company, like a B2B model, you find the right point of contact in the company. And like, let's say you want to sell a cyber tool, like a cybersecurity. You go to the person in IT, the CISO that handles security, and he's your customer. He's the buyer persona in the company. The way Monday works is much more sophisticated because Monday is such a cool tool that if I work with Monday and then you're in a different department, but I want you to use my board, then I'm expanding things bottom up and not top down as we usually do in B2B. And the reason that I'm telling you that, because this affects the services that we provide to our customers. Okay, so let's take a look at the services. Basically, when we're talking about B2C, we're talking about the individual user. We're talking about small deals. And we're looking at users that use the core functionality of the product, right? Just a second. All right, so we're talking about users who use the core functionality of the product. So if you know Monday, they are using boards, they're using dashboards, they're using the work docs, but they just, they open their license, their user, and they're starting using that. All right. In comparison, if we have B2B users, most of the account management is done with the champion. So this is like the person from the on the customer side who runs Monday or Sisense or any other tool in the company. We're talking about larger deals, and they're of course using the core functionality of the product, but they're also very much interested in every admin capabilities. So things as single sign-on, things as permissions, security, integration with other systems. These are things that are very, very interesting, our bigger customers, our B2B customers. And these different patterns of usage basically dictates a different type of services. So think about yourself. If you have, let's say, a billing issue with Spotify or Netflix, what do?
You contact the support.
Thank you, Leah. So yeah, you write them an email. This is what we call a ticket, right? And there's someone on the other side, like a random person from the company, that picks up your request, answer you, and if the next month you have another issue, you also send an email and a different person picks it up, right? Your way to understand the feedback of your customers, how do they feel about the service? How do they feel about the product? Is basically generated out of surveys if you ask them directly, but more often it's being collected from just a general analysis of the user behavior, right? We see where they click, we see what kind of features do they use.
It's not personal.
We see when and how they're coming back to the product. And this is what we're measuring. And by their behavior, we understand what is important for them. While if we look at the B2B portion, basically we said that we have a communication with the champion, with specific person or few people on the customer side that runs the subscription. And basically what that means is that we can create relationship, long-term relationship. So if you have a problem, if you have an issue, as the champion, you have a named CSM or a named person on Monday's side that you can reach out to, right? You have this person private email, you sometimes have their Slack, or you have even their phone, right? So you have personal relationship, you have long-term relationship. They're your buddies, basically, like work related, right?
Do you find it very common that it's becoming personal, so you become buddies in your daily work?
I think so, yeah. If you have like strong champions, you have to build trust with your customers. So yeah, you can see it quite often. And because you can speak to like a specific person or, you know, a bunch of people, but specific people on the customer side, you can gather feedback that is based on, you know, deep interaction, on asking them and receiving consistent and deep and elaborated feedback from the customers. Okay, so how is that affecting training? How is that affecting those like roles that you came here to hear about? Let's hold this thought and grab another thread, and then we're gonna tie those two threads together. Okay? So let's have a glimpse into the CS department structure. So by now, you know that in order to support our customers, we have the support team and we have the customer success managers. This one handling the non-touch, these are handling the high touch. Do you know what professional services do? Have you ever heard about that? So professional services is kind of a branch of customer success that deals mostly with product implementation. Okay, think as you as a customer. Let's say it was complicated to create playlists in Spotify. Then maybe Spotify would put a person that can help you to identify your musical taste and create the playlist. This is basically what professional services do. So in Monday, they work with customers, and this is like the larger customers. You can see that it's the high touch customers. If they need to work with Monday and they want to implement Monday to support a specific business process, let's say if that's like lead conversion, if that's some kind of a pipeline for deals or service request or whatever that may be, they're helping the customers to start working with Monday. They teach them how to use, and they help them to have the best setup, feature selection, organizing everything in order for them to meet their business goals in the shortest time. Okay, we call it time to value. So their job is to reduce time to value. And there you can see, so these are like the CSMs and the professional services. And there you can see that we also have the customer enablement. What we do in customer enablement and this is one of the two parts of my group, is basically providing all the self-service support. Have you ever tried to play some kind of a computer game and got stuck because you didn't know how to log in or how to configure, and you looked for this question in Google and you get a support article for you to run and do this thing on your own, right? So the other day I was trying to configure multiple players in Minecraft for my son. I got like a technical issue and I didn't want to wait on the support to get back to me. So I did some digging. It took me a few minutes, but I was able to solve it before anyone from support got back to me. So one of the things that we're doing is that we're creating and maintaining a very robust user education and self-service resources to help our customers help themselves in a faster way that we can provide like human support. This is one thing that I'm doing. But the other thing that I'm doing is to support the team, right? So if the team need to be the front line, who's gonna be the back line? I am, like, not me, but the entire team. And we have two supporting teams, and it goes the same way, I think, in probably all the SaaS companies that I know. So we're supporting internally. We're supporting the teams in two ways. One is strategy, operation, and data. This team is responsible for anything that is a system, that is pulling data from a system, creating, analyzing it, creating dashboards, creating automations, these kind of things. And the second team is the enablement team. As I said before, this is the training team, the internal training team, where we train our employees. So as you understand now, we have the employee training, the employee enablement, and the customer enablement. And at Sisense, we run them together in many different companies. There are different settings and org charts for that. Sometimes they run together, sometimes they're managed independently. Sometimes it's under product, sometimes it's under ops, sometimes it's under marketing. In Monday case, it is under customer success, and we run it together. All right. So we talked a little bit about the operation and data. We said that we're going to touch on the less familiar roles. So I do want to have like a very short description here. So in the operation and data team, you can find analysts that I believe that I don't need to introduce this role, right? All right. You can find project managers that I also think it's pretty common and self-explanatory. And you can find the sysadmin. Do you know this job?
It's a support for the inner group, your computers in the company.
So yeah, but it's not a company level. It's not, it's like, you can think about it as like a mini IT person within customer success. All right, so the person that oversees all the different like tools and software that we use and the integration between them, right? So if we look, for example, at CX, the support team, they're working with a ticketing system. This is Zendesk, if you heard about it. They're working with a scheduling system. They're working with a quality, internal quality. So a way for the team to evaluate the quality of the responses that they provide to customers. They're working with external quality, which is a system that allows you to get feedback from your customers and their satisfaction on the ticket that you brought them. Like this is, you know, this is one team and they uses multiple systems. So we need someone to oversee this system, all those systems. And I think that this specific, to be an analyst, you have to go through a very deep training. But if you have strong technical background, if you have strong project management skills, even if you haven't done that before, these are transferable skills to get to these positions. All right, so let's go back to the employees and user enablement. And I think that I generally touched all of the points in that slide, but I'm gonna review that very quickly. I also noticed that we have like 15 minutes. So basically, what do? We do it both for employees and for customers. We set up the training or the enablement strategy. We build curriculums, so we define what we need, what like our audience need to know. How do we teach them? What materials we covered? What flow? How much time we're going to dedicate for each topic, and so on. We design the learning experience, right? What tools do we use? We're all here because Jolt created a unique learning experience, right? And that was done by an instructional design or by I don't remember how the team is called, but basically the people that work there has the same background as I have. We are developing anything related to learning materials. We run and manage communities that help our employees and our users to learn from each other, right? Users from users, employees from employees, but basically to reduce their dependency on the experts, right? We want to democratize knowledge. We want to let anyone that knows an answer to write it and for that to be available to whoever who has this question and so on. And we are also responsible for knowledge management. So making sure that both our customers and our employees has the knowledge that they need at the time that they need it in the context that they need it. So now we talked a little bit about like the type of audience that we have and with the differentiation between B2B and B2C and what services do we provide. And now we talked about the internal structure of the team. And now it's the time to combine them both and to understand what does that mean in terms of being enablement for customers, all right? And I choose to focus on customers, but if you have questions that are also relevant for internal enablement, go ahead. So basically, if we said that our communication with B2C is more transactional versus long-term relationship with B2B, if we're talking about understanding general user behavior versus focused feedback, how can we teach or what our users in each of the segments want to learn. Okay, basically. And this is very kind of a rough distinction. We know that when we're talking about individuals, if you have a question, what you're looking for is technical training. As a B2C, as an individual user, your questions are, how do I use this? Or I try to do that, but it doesn't work, right? So the knowledge that you will look for online will be mostly technical. How do I use it? For that, we have product documentation. We have the knowledge base team. We have technical courses on how to work with Monday. We have webinars, we have tutorials, everything managed under the Monday Academy for customers. And we have the users community, as I explained earlier, where we facilitate the communication between customers to themselves and help them answer their own questions. And when we're talking about B2B, basically anything that is B2C applies here. So you can take all the left side of the screen, and on top of that, for a B2B customer, where I'm reminding you, we're talking about champions, people who have long-term relationship with Monday. They're not interested only in the technical side, but also they are interested in how to make it work, right? If I'm responsible for 500 users in my account, how do I make them really utilize the tool that I gave them? How do I convince them? How do I prove them value from Monday, right? So this is everything around adoption. We're using a lot in Train the Trainer. We are trying, with a company, trying to create experts on the customer side. And we are working mainly with the admins and the champions, and not something that is, you know, just available online. So now that you understand how training looks in each segment and what are we as an enablement team, what we're doing, what kind of activities we're doing, now we can get to what the team looks like. Yeah, Jonathan.
I was just wondering of the examples. Can you give any examples in your personal experience that you've had that would illustrate these points?
Sorry?
Would you be able to give examples from your personal experiences that would illustrate these points, these responsibilities from your own experiences?
Like this or the previous slide?
The previous one, yeah.
All right. Okay, so for example, let's say that you have a question on how to create an automation in Monday. This would be documented in the product documentation. Or if you want to understand deeper how the technical, how technically automation works, you can go and you can learn it in the technical courses. Or if you have specific questions around automation that is very relevant to your specific use case, you can go ahead, you can submit a ticket, but you in parallel can also go and ask this question in the user community, and then maybe an experienced user will reply to you with an answer even before we do. As a champion, if you have a question around automations, you can maybe ask yourself, What automations can I configure to make my user's life easier? What would save them time? What would simplify their processes? If you as a champion want to be an expert in Monday, you will learn how to set up automations. And then if someone on your team has a question around automations, he will come to you as a frontline support before he will submit a ticket or will try to Google something on his own, right? So this is, and it's a very good question because maybe that was wasn't fully understood. But this is like the differences between what questions or how the need look in every segment.
It sounds like you working on a daily basis with your clients, with them for supporting them and trying to make them reach their business goals and to make the best of the product.
So
you're not waiting for them to ask questions. You them it.
So first of all, the initiative, so we're trying to do two things. First of all, we're trying to identify in advance our customer needs and to address it even before they reach out to us, right? We see where customers spend a lot of time. We see what is like the general trend of how to questions, right? We have data on that. And for me, as customer education, I'm actively monitoring knowledge gaps of my customers. And I have different ways of doing that. But as enablement team, I'm not working day to day with my customers. I mostly work with the internal teams as a way to represent the voice of the customer. So to understand what kind of requests the support team gets, I work with support people. If I want to understand what are the big accounts needs, I'm working with CSMs, all right? So when I say we, what I'm referring to, so we have the trainers, we have instructional designers, which I explained earlier. What does that mean? We have content producers. So if you see like a cool website to learn of, or you see like this really nice video and animation, we have like people who are skilled on doing that. We of course need program managers, which is a different name, but basically the skill is project management. And we have community manager. This is, by the way, I have 2 open positions in my team for content writers, and I have 1 open position for community manager for their customer community. I would say that as community managers, I know that there are 3 open positions across Monday for community managers. So if any of you are interested in community, that would be a good opportunity for you. When we're looking at transformational skills, trainers, if you ever had experience working as a trainer, even if that was like in a business context, but in a company outside of the high tech, you know how to motivate people, you know how to give feedback, you know how to present and teach your audience. Let's give it a try, right? These are skills that can bring you into Monday. We have content writers, both for documentation and for training materials. Many people has content writing skills, and even if your writing skill is more toward journalism, but you're good with words, maybe that can be an opportunity for you. Of course, if you have some multimedia experience and you want to transfer into high tech, that's also a good opening for you. Project managers, we talked about it earlier. So we have 4 minutes. I'm gonna run through the hiring process. It's a long hiring process, but it basically we want that to make sure that you get and we get a proper understanding of the match between us. So it starts with a phone interview. You submit your CV. I know that there's a belief that everything is scanned by bots. This is not the case in Monday. In Monday, every CV goes through a pair of human eyes. All right, no bots. However, if you want your CV to stick out and you want specific role with specific context, make sure to stress and bold the buzzwords, right? When we're scanning CVs, keep it short, keep the white space, make it easy to read, and highlight the buzzwords, because this is what I'm looking for. If I'm hiring for instructional design role, I want to see names of instructional design methods, for example, right? That will prove to me that you have the experience that I'm looking for. So you submit your CV, you're going through the first screening, and then you have the phone interview with a recruiter from the HR team, just to check like very initial fit. If that's a fit, you go to the first interview, which is a professional interview. Usually, if you pass this interview and we see that professionally you're a good fit for this job, you've asked to do a home assignment. We're very respectful of our candidates' time. Generally, candidate experience is very important for us in Monday. So we're trying to limit that to very small, up to 2-3 hours. Not more. Then we're checking more of a personal, cultural fit in the manager interview. If you passed all those stages, you have an in-depth personal interview with HR. And if you passed all of that, you have reference check and then salary offer, and then you're hired. Amazing. So I know that this is like a long process, but we do see like few months after hiring, we're also monitoring that candidates that went through all this long process are more likely to succeed in their job. And basically this process is setting the candidate for success. Okay, so this is why it's important, not just for us, but also for you, because starting a position that is not a good fit for you can be very, very frustrating. So with that, I can say that we have, you see, many different positions that are open. You can reach out to our recruiters. And if you get this deck, like the LinkedIn or hyperlinks, there's also the Monday career site where you can find all the information on that. And yeah, that was an hour on enablement. I have a few minutes to spare, so if that's fine with Ariela, and if anyone wants to hang in and ask questions, I'm happy to take questions now.
It's encouraged. And I will say that there are a few questions I saw in the chat. So maybe we'll start with those. And Nir, I see you very politely raising your hand, so we will get to you as well. So the first question I see in the chat is from Shaked Shitrit. The question was sent back when you were talking about your previous experience, and you were talking about instructional design. He wanted to know if you've experienced instructional design in any other program other than the Army.
So because I'm old, when I started, that was the main way to learn instructional design. Today, there's a very respectful, I would say, academic degree in HAT, both for bachelor and master's degree. And there are a few courses by Limi, by DeMille, by Methodica. Like there's a few places that you can go and take a course, and there are also a few Facebook groups that are very relevant. So if anyone has specific interest in that, I can share later on the Jolt LinkedIn group some recommendations to courses and Facebook groups that you can ask all these questions.
Amazing, thank you. I do see a question by Ilan Priel. I don't see that he's still with us, but he wanted maybe a little bit more, a few words about customer education.
So I think that
yeah, but I think we covered that. Yeah. Uriel Huller commented about you mentioning that you arrived at a company with simple English. Mm-hmm. And today as an enablement, would you get a new worker who is not a native English speaker?
So as you can see, I'm not a native English speaker myself. And I do believe that if you get proper basic English, it's easier to learn and improve your English when you use it every day. And when you hear your American colleagues speak English and you just, pick up terms, vocabulary, and basically it becomes much more fluent. I can say that I've hired, but I won't hire anyone that doesn't have basic English, that cannot phrase a sentence. Like the written English is super, super important, even more than verbal English. Yeah.
Amazing. Nir, to your question.
Yes, I have two questions actually. First I heard that in Monday they having some kind of a boot camp or something like that for customer success jobs. Is that still relevant? That there is opening for that?
So Monday offers free courses. It's basically mechina, right? Mm-hmm. We had one that just finished for sales, and because that was very successful, we are going to have these kind of courses for other professions as well, for customer success, for biz dev, recruitment, and so on. It's more it's more Monday oriented, and it will be relevant again. Right now, we don't run a course, but we will open another cycle of sales academy and like the other academies in the few months, in like 3-4 months, I believe.
Great. And second question, beside of the enablement field, any other jobs that you recommend for like junior, let's say, without the experience, with skills that I can transfer from different departments?
So the way I see juniors is more related to your employment experience. So if you have experience in other fields that are not high tech, you're now no junior for me. Like you just need to transfer your experience into this new industry. If you're coming without any experience at all, like fresh out of college or university, then you have entry-level positions that can be mostly, I think, CX, or like junior biz dev positions. From there you can grow, but again, these are like junior positions or entry-level positions in every company in the market, even like the Israelis. You know, in a bank you start as a teller, in Yes or Hot you start in the call center, and here is basically the same.
Thank you so much.
Great, thank you.
Jonathan?
Thanks. So you mentioned also about English being a requirement when you enter in, at least basic English. With the way the market's starting to head towards China, do you think that's going to also be, which would you rather focus on, you think? Where will that play a role, Chinese?
It's a good question. I don't know. That would be the short answer. The long answer is that currently, most of our commercial relationships as a country, like in Israel, are with the US. So most companies, like they want the American money. They want to work with the US, and you need to know English for that. Moreover, I can tell you that in my experience with working with the Chinese, they're also very interested in the United States. So did you know, for example, that every like Chinese businessman has, or woman, has like an English name that they use? Yep. So I think the Francolingua is English, and you need to work on your English.
And I can give all the time.
Not you specifically, but like if anyone wants to, this is like, I think that in Israel, this is probably the most significant obstacle, the language barrier.
Jonathan, any better, you improve your English any better, it's not going to be English anymore. It's going to be a whole new language. All right. Thank you so much, Inbal. We have 3 more questions, if that's okay. Tamir?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Inbal, for your time. I have a question. I'm wondering what kind of software or tools you use, or as customer success manager use on a daily basis, and if it's worth learning it right now, even before our first job.
I think that there are few types. It's a good question. There are a few types of tools, but I don't think that there's any common tool, maybe other than Salesforce, that is like an industry standard in all companies. Like if you look at the BI industry, some companies use Tableau, some companies use Power BI, others use Looker, others use Sisense, right? So you need to know BI, but I wouldn't say learn all the four. If you are looking to learn something and you targeted specific product companies, invest your time in learning their products.
Thank you, fair enough.
Thank you, Tamir. Gabriel?
Hi, Inbar, good evening. My apologies, my camera is turned off. Okay, I'm here with the babies. My main question is, I'm doing now the Enter for CS, for customer success at Jolt. Okay, and basically the main reason that I'm doing it is because I'm not coming from the SaaS tech industry. And I have more than 5 years of experience in sales, customer support. And I would like to know if that a deal breaker for Monday recruiters. Are there any more indications that they need to have due to the lack of experience I have in SaaS or in the tech industry?
I don't think that that's a barrier at all. I think that the market, like I know that we desperately seek for talented people. If you have experience in other fields, we can touch it. We can teach you SaaS, or you can learn SaaS on your own, but that's not a barrier.
Because my colleagues recommend me to start, for example, I'm trying to apply for Monday or other big tech companies, and they are recommending to start small in small tech companies, but I don't love to start small. So I just wanted to know you from the first, as the first source that, for example, at Monday, do you know, do you got to know colleagues that started from scratch without any experience and they excelled in their position?
Yeah, for sure. I think like it's no brainer. If you have experience in customer service or sales, just the transition, and I hear that you have like fair enough English, I think that you can apply to big companies as well.
Okay, perfect. Thanks a lot. You helped me.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you, Gabriel. Amir?
Hi, thank you for the training. It was really interesting. My question is, first of all, by the way, I just entered the monday.com career site and didn't find any trainer position available. So that's one.
Afterwards.
Sorry?
I'm saying that this is a position that I'm going to open very soon, but it's not posted yet, but I already know that it's open.
Cool. I will keep looking. Second question. I see on career pages on companies on LinkedIn, all kinds of names for customer success positions. And I'm never quite too sure about what that means. For example, customer success enterprise or customer success onboarding. Is that means that, for example, customer success onboarding is the one that deals only with the onboarding part of the journey?
So customer success onboarding is what I referred earlier as professional services and implementation. So you're right, they're mainly doing the technical side of the onboarding. Enterprise, that means that you're dealing with enterprise customers. Generally, in most cases, that would be a more senior position. Like if you want to start in customer success, and you see that you have like a SMB or mid-market customer success, that would probably mean these are smaller customers and a bit less senior.
Okay, I see. Okay, thanks.
But if you are interested in a specific position from what I offered or presented, reach out to me in LinkedIn.
Will do.
Thank you, Amir. Idan?
Okay, hi.
Hi.
So I have a couple of questions. The first one is actually referring to the last subject about the onboarding, or let's say that you have a certain company that that you're working with. The customer successes manager is probably the one working with, let's say, the VP product, and the onboarding team are probably working with the product team. But if it's only technical, how can you get them to buy into moving to Monday? Because some of them might be used to Jira or to Asana or to other competitors from different organizations, previous organizations, or maybe this specific organization is moving into Monday. Who's in charge of getting the actual team to buy in? Because they can get the technical stuff, but if I don't want to, because I'm used to another platform.
So, okay. First of all, in terms of Monday relationship with the customer, this is the $1 million question. You pinpoint it. And basically, this is what we're doing. This is the CSM job. This is the salesperson job. This is the account manager also on the sales side job, to speak with the right contacts to make them realize what value we offer. And then it's a very hard job to win the heart of our users. Now, with a good or high quality product and with the good implementation, it's doable. But you're right, in many cases, we get pushbacks from our customers because, you know, they have like two teams. One is working with Jira, the other one is working with Monday, and the Jira team won't let go. It makes sense. And changing habits is hard. And then you work, you try to convince, you try to realize value. You're also trying to pressure a little bit. When like the renewal date with Jira comes, you try to promote Monday even more. This is the profession.
So you even might have colliding interests because, like you were talking at the beginning of the meeting, you were talking about integrations. So as a customer success manager, you want your platform to integrate with Jira, for example.
Right, right.
But by doing so, you're actually making it harder for the account manager to convert the other department into Monday. So how do you set the boundaries?
I don't think that there's like one answer fits all, right? Basically, what we see is that in certain cases, it's worth like losing the team of 20, 30 people to win the company of 200, 500 users, right?
Okay.
In other cases, we live with that. Do we like it? Do we feel that it's, you know, the best practice? Not always, but sometimes this is what.
It's the way it is.
מה שנקרא, זה עצם בגרון, but sometimes you have to live with that.
It's a loss leader. You decide that this certain department will actually help it work with Monday, even though they're working with another platform in order to keep the other departments satisfied.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Jonathan, last question, and then...
Yeah. I was just going to say that one more I'm going to ask if that's okay. So Jonathan is the final question, but I just want to mention that Inbar was kind enough to attach to her slides both her personal LinkedIn and both the recruiters, both of Monday's HR recruiters. So you are more than welcome to connect with them all. I will follow up this webinar with an email sharing the slideshow, and you'll be able to connect with them. And yes, Jonathan, sorry.
No, thanks. Inbal, in your personal experience, what are some of the most important skills or, let's say, techniques or things you've done to help do conflict resolution in your role as a CSM?
I haven't been a CSM.
Oh, sorry. I mean, in your role,
to gain what? I didn't understand that.
When you've had to either yourself do or guide people through conflict resolution between, say, two businesses, the one you're working for and another, you and the client of some sort.
I think
even
the basics, the most important thing is to identify your needs very well. Because, you know, when people come and ask for recommendation on something, again, there's not one solution like that fits all. It just depends on what you need. And we're trying to look for customers who need solution like Monday and not like other solutions. Does that make sense? Did that answer your question? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, guys and ladies. First of all, I want to say thank you so much to Inbar, not just for me personally, but from all of us at Jolt. We so appreciate the partnership that we have with Monday, and we appreciate you for kind of dedicating your time and making the slides and hosting this super professional webinar. Personally, I learned a lot of things that I didn't know before, and I hope everybody else kind of got the same from Inbar. So from all of us, we want to say thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. I really enjoyed it.
We did too. And it's always a pleasure working with you, and we're excited for our future endeavors. I already updated Inbar for all our alumni out there. Inbar is going to be joining our alumni community on LinkedIn. So anyone who wants to connect with her through that group, you're more than welcome to. You're more than welcome to look up the recruiters from Monday and connect to them as well. Like I said, Eyal Reznik, Chen Yechiel, and Inbar Odan. These are the people we want to connect to. And again, thank you everyone for joining us today. And just thank you to everyone. It was a pleasure.
You guys.
Bye. Thank you, Inbar. Thank you, Ariella.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye bye. Have a great evening.
Have a great night, everybody.